Today we are going to be talking about our new phrase Unity integration, allowing game developers to level up their localization processes and to launch their games globally faster. To walk us through today's topic, we have a lineup of fantastic speakers, and let me introduce them. I'm happy to have Christin Stein, our Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Phrase. Christin is going to establish the context for us a little bit by introducing Phrase for anyone who does not know us yet. And she's also going to suggest how the Phrase Unity integration that we are introducing today in particular addresses some common challenges that game developers face when they localize their games. Next, we are joined by Simon Mountney, our product manager for the Phrase Strings Connect and Delivery team. Simon will talk us through the in-product demonstration, showing us the integration in action. And lastly, we are thrilled to be joined by a guest speaker from Unity. We have Karl Jones, Unity's senior software engineer. Back in 2017, as Karl told us, he spearheaded the development of Unity's localization package. And while his current focus is primarily on UI development, he remains the owner of the localization package. And so he will be a very valuable addition to the discussion, bringing some practical insights and expertise from the game localization world. So please welcome to the webinar. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Christin.
Great. Thank you so much, Clara, for the introduction. So let's get started and dive in with a quick overview of Phrase and Unity and explore how together they can be a real game changer for your development process in gaming. So Phrase can significantly improve your localization process, cutting down time by up to 95% compared to traditional spreadsheet-based translation. That's a huge leap forward in efficiency. So imagine being able to streamline your workflows so that you're no longer stuck with manual exports, imports, translations, and also instead can focus on delivering immersive, high-quality game experiences. And well, that is exactly what Phrase and Unity can help you achieve. So Phrase is all about helping brands with a global footprint to maintain a very local mindset. So applying this to the gaming world, this means that even though your game might be reaching players all over the world, it's very crucial to make the experience feel personal and relevant to each country, each player, and also each region. And Phrase is here to help you achieve just that. So with Phrase, you can reduce the time spent on localization and translation by automating these time-consuming tasks like manual content imports, exports, and content distribution. So this means your team can actually focus on what really matters, which is creating great games. And we also elevate translation quality with our contextual editor, customizable quality assurance gates, and translation memories, ensuring your game feels immersive in every single language. And because Phrase integrates seamlessly into your existing workflow with over 50 integrations and a fully featured API, it fits right into your development stack. So that much to Phrase, and now I would like to pass it over to Karl to give us a quick refresher about Unity.
Well, I think most people will probably have some idea what Unity is if they're in the webinar, but it's a world-leading game engine, supports a lot of platforms. It's a big topic on its own. But we just released the latest version today, Unity 6. So that's our latest version that we're all very proud of. So it's certainly one worth checking out, and it has localization support with the package. And hopefully you'll get to see a bit more of what's possible in this webinar now. So I'd start off a little bit just to talk about some of the issues that we encounter with people in Unity doing localization. And most of it comes down to the bit where you need to work with translators. So, you need to get your translations out of Unity, send them to translators, get them translated, and then get them back, and you need that pipeline in between. We provide some tools like CSV, Google Sheets, and XLIF, but they're not great, and they all usually require a little bit of extra work on the part of the developer to decide how they're going to work with those tools. It can be a bit tedious trying to create CSV files and trying to manage them and source control them, if you even do any source control. And we have issues with context. It's very hard to get the context to a translator. So we have some limited support where you can add text, you can write some text fields, but it's hard, it's not great. Ideally you want to show the translator what it looks like, so we don't have support for like screenshots. So where was it? So that pipeline is not great at the moment, and it usually requires developing each time. For each developer has to build their own pipeline, so it's not. Usually you'll work on a game, you'll build a localization pipeline, and then you'll move to another game and you have to build a different one. So there isn't really like a standardized way of doing it at the moment. So it's exciting to see something like Phrase, where this can maybe introduce the possibility that users can have a way they can move between games and they'll know what to expect. They won't have to build a new pipeline each time, and they can solve some of the issues like source control, which is hard to do. Keeping track of the status of your translations, like are they translated, are they machine translated, have they been checked, other issues. We don't really have any of that built in. People have to build their own tools to do that. So yeah, Phrase seems to solve a lot of those issues.
Great. Thank you so much, Karl. So as you just heard, I mean, manual localization can be a time drain for your team, but the good news is it doesn't need to be that way. So let's take a look at how we can shift that frustration into focus and free up your team so they can do what they do best. So let's start with how Phrase allows your team to focus on development. Manual localization tasks pull your team away from creating an improving game. By offloading these manual tasks to Phrase, your developers can actually concentrate on what they do best, which is innovation and delivering high quality gameplay. And another benefit is the faster time to market. So long localization processes can delay a game's release. And by automating this, we help you reduce turnaround times, and so that at the end, you can get your games out to players faster. And finally, the high quality translations are key. So as you all know, inconsistent localization can just break immersion and harm the player experience. And with Phrase, you can ensure that translations are accurate, culturally appropriate, and also consistent, resulting in a seamless experience that enhances player satisfaction and also long-term loyalty. So now coming to the most exciting part, I'd like to introduce the Phrase and the Unity integration. An integration we're really proud to present to you, and which can redefine the localization, how localization handled in game development. So with this integration, you get the benefit of zero development time spent on localization, as you no longer need to manually export files, create localization kits, or manually gather context. So Phrase's push and pull functionality automates these processes, saving your team from a lot of repetitive tasks. And another key advantage that Karl already touched upon is our context-driven translations. So, for example, picture a key character who shifts from a serious tone during a combat scene to a more humorous tone during a casual interaction. And if the translator, for example, doesn't have a context for those scenes, the humor or also the intensity of a dialogue can get lost in translation. And with context-driven translations, or with context-driven translations, they can understand these dialogue shifts, allowing them to match the character's tone appropriately, which ensures that the player's experience is consistent regardless of the language. So it's not just about the translating words, it's about keeping the world and also the story consistent across all languages. So that's to giving context to translators. And next, you'll also experience shorter quality assurance phases. So built-in automated checks help identify and minimize errors, allowing you to speed up your time to market, while also still maintaining the high quality of translations. And lastly, as your game expands into new markets, scaling becomes more effortless. So adding new languages doesn't increase the workload on your team, making it easy to grow without slowing down your development process. So this is like in a nutshell about what's the phrase and Unity integration. So maybe Karl, as our expert from a Unity side, is there anything you would like to point out or add or emphasize here?
Yeah. It's getting that step between getting the translations out, translating them back shorter is a real benefit. Being able to QA it and quickly process those changes and get changes back in and short source control it, they're all huge benefits that I'm really missing at the moment. So I think people will be excited once they see how it looks.
Great. Well, then let's just get right to it. So now we'd like to hand it over to Simon, who will do exactly that. He'll explain and show you also how the integration works in practice. Over to you, Simon.
Sure, thank you very much. So I'll give you a very brief rundown of what it does, and then I'm going to have a demo that will hopefully provide additional clarity. But the Unity integration in its most basic form allows you to automatically sync your source copy, your screenshots, your character limits, and metadata. And there's a little asterisk there, which is marked as coming soon. We are already in the works for improving on that functionality where you can provide additional character context. So as mentioned, there's already, and not previously mentioned, but there has been mentioned that there's a desire for like tonal context or how people are saying particular things. We already then have description functionality built in, but we want to expand on that with a lot of the additional custom metadata functionality that we already have at Phrase. We want to translate and ensure quality. So once your content is in Phrase, translations are carried out with full context, thanks to the features that we are providing through Unity. So translators have all the info they need to deliver accurate results. We also have additional automated LQA checks that ensure that all translations meet quality standards before moving forward, and then they get synced back to Unity. So after translations are completed and they pass the QA phase, they can be seamlessly synced back into Unity so that your localized content. Hello there, my name is Simon and I'm the product manager for Strings Connect and Deliver here at Phrase, and I'd like to show you the first version of how our Unity integration works. So in the Phrase environment, I have a test project, and within here you can see that there's not a lot going on. There's no languages set up, there's no keys, and we could normally set up these bits and pieces from here. You could set your default locale and the additional languages you'd like to translate to. But I think that it would make sense for us to talk about what you could do to do this work from within Unity itself. So firstly, you'll need to set up your connection. So over here in the Integrations tab, you've got the Unity integration. If you click on Install, you'll be taken to a page which will help you install the functionality within Unity. If you are also logging in via using an access token, then you'll need to go to your profile settings and get an access token set up, as I have done here, and then you'll need to take that information over to Unity. When you're in Unity, you'll now see underneath the assets localization space that we have Phrase here, and what I've also got set up is a localization table with a couple of additional languages enabled. We have English, which I speak, German, which I don't, and Serbian, which my engineer does and was used here for the setup. So very grateful to him for helping with that. But let's make sure we're all connected up with Phrase. So we click on the Phrase integration, and over here on the inspector, we've got Phrase connection, and I'm just going to expand this out as well. We have the environment options. custom US or EU. I'm leaving it to custom just now because I'm doing a demo on our QA environment. And you can see that also from the API URL, which would be slightly different for yourselves, but you get that information from the setup information. You've got under authentication type, token or OAuth. And if you clicked on OAuth and clicked on login using OAuth, then if you were logged in already, then you would immediately get redirected back here and you would have the option to fetch your projects. I'm going to use token in this case. And I have here pasted in the API key, and I'm going to click Fetch Projects, and now you can see from Select Project I've got a couple of options here, and I'm going to stay on my option here, my Simon Unity test, and I'm going to have a look at the missing locales in phrase. If I click on this option, the following locales are missing in phrase strings, so I'm going to select all, create in phrase. 3 locales have been created in phrase. Let's just confirm on that. If we then refresh the languages page, you can now see these 3 languages available, but they'll have no keys in them. So let's make sure that we have something that we can actually translate as well. So we're going to go to push languages, and we're going to select all of the languages here. You again have the option to select all or none, or the individual ones you would like. And I'm going to push these to phrase. Let me go over here and check on that. Now, if I refresh, you've got some information here. We've got in English all of the options, and if we were to change the target language and click on Serbian, you can see that those are already populated and those keys are all paired up. But if we click on German, I can't speak, sorry, then you'll see that there are spaces for a translation. Now let's make some translations here. Now the options for translating, I'm sure you're aware, are either to do it manually, and we click Save, or to utilize machine translation. Now let's have a look on Click to Start tutorial, and you see that if I click down, I've got a suggestion, and this is
due to our having paired up with OpenAI GPT for suggested translations. And if you're going into your account settings, you can find the machine translation options to change your default provider for everything based on what you have enabled already, or particular pairings of languages which can be set up accordingly. So we have this set up. I'm going to click on this and then save. And then back over in Unity, I can pull to Unity. Oh, I should select which one I'd like to do there. Pull to Unity. And then if we look at the localization table, you can see one I manually entered and one I use machine translation to enter. And you can know we can confirm the work, because if we have a look at the localization C controls up here and change from English to German, we can now see those translated in your game. And this will run accordingly. If you were to click run, then it will just go over it. I'm not going to click that right now because I'm running a computer. Unfortunately, it takes a little while to load games, but you get a picture from that. If we want to get additional context though from those particular keys, then we can find the particular key in question. Let's have a look at this one here. Here is the particular item for the text down here. You can tell that that's a case because it's a session. You can actually see it here. And we have some additional options. We have description, max length, and update screenshots. Description means that we can add some additional context on that particular key, and then that will get passed back to phrase so that people doing the translation have additional information added to it. The max length sets the character limits, and the reason for why this is useful is because particular languages use more or less characters for the translations. Japanese, for example, will use, in many cases, fewer characters than English, whilst German and oftentimes will use more, as you saw in this particular example here. Click to start tutorial, and then this uses 6 words instead of 4, so it's useful to be able to limit that. So let's just change this max length to 50, and we'll also have the screenshot option. Obviously, when you're looking at text, you don't necessarily always get the context. So what helps with that is we've got the option to update a screenshot. As you see, you click on it, you get confirmation that that's worked. And then back over in the phrase plugin, we want to push this information to phrase. And back over here now, we refresh. And go back down to that particular key where we get the changes. You can now see we have the screenshots enabled, and we have the description information that we wanted to add, and we also have down here the character limit enabled. You can see that we've used 39 of 50 characters. Now if I were to go over that amount, you get warnings saying your character limit has been exceeded, and so we want to make sure that's still within that, and that can be a very, very useful feature. And if we made changes to this, back to Unity, and let that save, we can then do a pull back to Unity of the language in question. Okay, I should select the correct one. And then if we have a look at the item in question, you can then see the description has been updated accordingly. And that will be true roles of the character length if I was to change that. So those are all the initial features. Hopefully that's going to be very useful for everyone watching, but we also have additional functionality in the works. We're looking at expanding on the functionality for screenshot support to accommodate multiple items being selected in parallel, and we have a number of other ideas in the works, so hopefully that's going to be very useful. Beyond that, though, there's a number of considerations that we're thinking about with regards to how this can be useful for the connectivity across the phrase ecosystem. The reason why I say this is because, back over in integrations, we are very neatly paired up with different repos, GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbuckets. We are also paired up with the phrase orchestrator when you want to automate your custom workflows. We have the ability to pair up with additional API, your integrations with our powerful API, and we have job syncs. So if you're utilizing phrase TMS already for your game translations, and you want to just send it straight to Unity or go from Unity back to phrase TMS, then you can use job sync to send the information through back and forth in that manner, so it can be incredibly helpful. So, that's everything from me. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to our support team, and I'm sure they'll be able to help. But that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Simon, for this wonderful opportunity to see Phrase and the Unity integration in action. And I hope you all liked it. And with that, we're also nearing the end of our webinar. To wrap things up, let's quickly review why Phrase is our ideal partner and also this solution for your game development. So Phrase stands out as the only localization platform with AI-driven capabilities specifically designed for Unity developers. So our goal is to remove the friction that often comes with localization, so your team can stay focused on what really matters, which is creating exceptional games. So because Phrase is built by developers for developers, it integrates very seamlessly into your existing workflows, allowing your team to remain productive and focused on building games without unnecessary disruption. Phrase AI-powered automation handle the heavy lifting, basically. So streamlining tasks that would otherwise slow down your team with fewer errors and faster localization cycles. You can be confident that your game can or will reach players sooner and also in top quality. And lastly, as your project grows, Phrase scales with you, providing the flexibility to expand your game's reach into new markets. So no matter the size of your team or your project or the complexity of your game, Phrase ensures that you're fully equipped to handle your localization needs at any time. And that's it. And with that, I would hand it back to Clara to guide us through the questionnaire.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. We do have a couple of questions already. Okay, usually I would start from the top, but let me do an exception and let's start from this question. Can I get a recording of this webinar, please? Absolutely, you can. I will share the recording with everyone tomorrow in a follow-up email, so you'll have a chance to review. And now let's go to the questions for the subject matter experts here. Do we depend on the developers to add the screenshots one by one, or can they do this in batches for the whole game?
I think I can answer this. So right now, you rely on the developer to do this either one by one, or if you want to apply the same screenshot to multiple items, then you can bulk apply that. However, we are working on expanding this functionality so that we will be able to automatically generate screenshots for wherever the particular string is being utilized. That is one of the highest priority next steps for us. So while version 1 does not support that, version 2, which will be coming early in the spring, will absolutely include that functionality.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Next question, are words, is words phrase quote consumed upon upload to Phrase?
I think I can probably also help with this question. If you're referring to the allocated number of words that you get to use as part of your particular plan, then yes, that would be the case once you are translating that content. So if you push the content into the Phrase environment and start translating it, then it works just as it would with any other key content translation within the Phrase space.
Right, thank you. Do regular Phrase users have to pay an extra fee for these features?
No, they do not. This comes included with every available subscription type that we have.
Yeah. And can you translate the fetch strings only in phrase strings or also in phrase TMS? I think this was covered in the demo, but the question had arrived earlier. So but maybe we can cover it again, Simon, please.
Yeah, no problem. We have the job sync functionality, which connects phrase strings with phrase TMS. So yes, you can absolutely utilize the functionality with keys or items that exist within phrase TMS or phrase strings or back and forth. They all interconnect using this functionality. And so you can use this in whatever method you want using the way that we pair those systems together.
All right. Very similar, I think. What question that feels similar? Is it possible to use this feature on TMS as well? As far as I understand the view from the strings. And although we tried it at my company, we could not import our files, like we use Excel files to translate and then import to Unity. So we translate via TMS. Not sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can speak a little bit about this, but thankfully I have one of my engineers present here to support me if I get this a little bit wrong. We do not currently have this integrated directly into TMS. This is connected specifically to phrase strings. With JobSync, you can connect to TMS with this functionality. But if you are having issues with importing Excel files or any other CSVs or things like that into phrase strings, then please reach out to us. We're more than happy to help out with that particular issue. You shouldn't necessarily be limited to phrase TMS in any way. We should have full functional support for your needs.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. I think maybe we can also follow up with this particular attendee to understand a little bit more the use case and what the problem is after
Absolutely.
the webinar as well.
I'd just like to add one last tiny thing, which is that we are in the process of getting this verified with Unity as an official Unity verified solution. Currently, this we do not have a place on the asset store because we are going through that process to get this more formalized with a direct partnership, but we are in the process of getting that solution organized right now, and that will be present very soon. So shortly, you'll be able to install directly from within the Unity asset store, but in the meantime, you can still install directly from phrase.
All right. Thanks, Simon. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.